Hello once again, and here are the 1-4 notes. So grab a pencil, calculator, and whatever you need. Our essential question is, how can you rearrange the variables in formulas? So here are many of the formulas that I'm going to be referencing, and you really should be comfortable of knowing most of these. So you really should be able to memorize these. Should be able to memorize, with the exception maybe of the trapezoid and temperature. Okay, I'll give you these ones because I'm a nice guy like that. But just know what everything is. Okay, distance, rate times time, temperature, triangle, rectangle, perimeter, trapezoid, pretty self-explanatory. Now, what is new is solving for a variable, okay? And students want to fight this, okay? They want to just take the shortcut ahead of time. We'll get to it later, but it's helpful to be able to rearrange a formula, okay? Say you have a circle. You have the circle, all right? And say you actually know the area off the bat. You know how much is inside, okay? But maybe you need to know the radius, okay? Well, what you can do is solve for r from the equation so that you're solving not for the area, but for the radius, okay? So solving for a variable means to rewrite an equation so that the variable you are solving for is isolated to one side. So rewriting a formula with two variables. We're going to solve that circumference formula for r. So circumference, C equals 2 pi, and we are solving for r. So that means to move r to one side of the equation. I don't like how it's extra chunky there. So we're going to just go with pen 2 here. Let's see. Size. Set it down. Okay. That's still not quite what I want. Opacity. Size. 1. Go with that one. R. Okay, whatever. Now, since we're solving for r, that means we want to get it to one side of the equation. We want to move 2 and pi to the other side. Now, again, solving equations, you can do whatever to one side, you just have to keep the balance. Keep the balance. Now, what's tricky to see here, this is really 2 times pi times r. Well, whenever you have multiplication, the opposite thing to do is to divide, okay? So if we want to move 2 and pi to the other side, if we're multiplying, we can divide simply by 2 and pi. It's all multiplying, so we can divide the whole thing. 2 and pi. Now, it's going to look more challenging, or it's going to look less attractive, perhaps, than the original, but 2 pi, this is the third time I'm trying to do this, circumference equals 2 divided by pi equals r. Sorry, circumference over 2 pi equals r. This is the rewritten formula. Rewritten for r. R is on one side, all by itself, how it wants to be, and everything else is on the other. students want to skip this step and they want to jump down here. Using your equation in part A. Well, if you don't make an equation in part A, how can you use it? So, this is where partial credit comes into play. You must create this equation first. Okay? If you want full credit. Because what students will do is say, well, why can't I just plug in 44 for the circumference and divide? Okay, this is the actual algebra, okay? This is algebra. Moving from numbers into letters, and that is what this class is algebra, okay? It's all about seeing the relationship, but it's not going to be very difficult. Now, find the radius of the circle. Since we solve for the radius, all we must do is substitute circumference of 44. Well, if circumference equals 44, and I have my equation, 44 over 2 pi equals r, you get the radius equals 44 divided by 2, 22 over pi. Calculator here, 22 divided by pi, about 7.0028. I'll let you know normally what decimal point to round off to. And since we're starting to use numbers and equations, don't forget units of inches. Okay? But again, you have to solve part A. You need to actually make the equation. So solve 9x minus 4y equals 7 for y. So don't just ignore part B, please. Just pretend it's not even there right now. Here, I'm going to scratch it out, and my fancy thing is I can erase it. Okay? Ignore it. Pretend like it's not there. You need to solve for y. So I need to get y by itself. It once left alone. Like, just leave me alone, everyone, okay? So, y needs to be by itself. Let's move over r x minus 9x. So we have negative 4y equals 7 minus 9y. 7 minus 9y. X, sorry. Whoops. See, Mr. D, if you would write a little nicer. Okay. Now, the only thing left is to divide by negative 4. Now here, we are actually just going to kind of leave it like this. So like I said, it might be uglier. Now y is all by itself like it wants to be, equals 7 minus 9x all over negative 4. You can take this one step further, okay? To make it even nicer, what you can do is, this is really 7 divided by negative 4 and negative 9 divided by negative 4, negative 9x. Now, you have to divide both if you're going to do this. Must divide both. So it's 7 over negative 4 plus 9x divided by negative 4. Okay, this is an additional step. It's kind of super simplified. If you have either one of these, I'll accept the answer. But this is kind of moving it a step ahead. Now, once you have that, once y is by itself, y is by itself, isolated solve for, then you can go ahead and do the second part when x equals -5, because then y is simply 7 minus, we'll use the first one, 9 times -5 all over -4. You can just plug that in your calculator using order of operations, of course. 7 -9 times -5 plus 45 all over -4. 52 all over -4. 52. I keep doing plus instead of 5. -13. Y equals -13. Okay. Again, just makes your life kind of easier. You must solve for A first for full credit. If you're just plugging in x equals -5 off the bat, you're not getting the whole picture. Okay, so it's all about algebra with the variables. Okay, rewriting with 3 variables. Okay, solve perimeter of a rectangle. Formula for W. Perimeter of a rectangle. Perimeter equals 2 times length plus 2 times width. Now, remember back in the distributive property, we said we can also reverse distribute. Okay, well, let's see here. Both of these L and W are out at a picnic, and they each have a 2. Well, what's that mean? That means that we can reverse distribute that 2. So we take it away from both of them. 2 is really length plus width equals the perimeter. Okay? So whenever you have 2 variables, sometimes check to see, does anything have any terms in common? So are there any common terms? Or common multiples? Okay, yes, the 2. Now we will divide everything by the 2. Okay, so P over 2 equals length plus W. Now, what do we want to get by itself? We want W by itself. So we are going to subtract L. And again, it's going to be not as pretty perhaps as the original, but P over 2 minus L equals W. Now notice, P over 2 as a fraction, you can't just say, well, this is P minus L over 2. They're 2 completely different things. Okay? Here is W solved for. W is left alone. It's isolated. It's happy. Once your variable is happy, then you can use your equation. And the idea is, again, it's going to be easy to use your equation. So use your equation from part A, find the width, W. P is 41, L is 12. Well, then we have 41 over 2 minus 12 equals W. 41 over 2, 20.5 minus 12, 8.5 equals the width. Okay, no units, just 8.5, 8.5. Okay? Just don't be afraid. Just be sure you are looking for common terms to reverse distribute. Rewriting non-linear equations. Non-linear equations, okay? Notice here, again, we have some things going on. So we're going to do solve for y. Means we want to get y by itself. Now, both of these terms on the left, they each share a y. So what can we do? If they both share it, we can reverse distribute. Okay, so there are two y's at a picnic, x plus y is at a picnic. So we can take that y out front. We can take it away from both of them. Y is 2 plus x equals 6. They each have it, we bring it out front. Each have it, bring it out front. Off to the side, what you can do to see if you reverse distributed correctly, redistribute everything to check. Okay? Well, y times 2 is 2y plus xy. And you did it okay. All right, so now we're here. Now the cool thing we can do, the reason we distributed this or undistributed is this is all multiplication. So what we can do is just divide this whole chunk, 2 plus x. Divide the whole chunk. Okay? What we're left with is just y equals 6 over 2 plus x. Now, why this is non-linear, x is in the denominator. So it's non-linear because x is in the denominator. But this is your solution. Okay, y is all by itself. Do not divide. So 6 over 2 plus x. The tendency, and don't do it. Okay, little pirate skull here. It's a trap. Do not divide 6 over 2 and 6 over x. You cannot do 6 over 2 is, so 6 over 2 plus 6 over x. Okay? You can't do that. Now, not necessarily you can't. It does not equal the same thing. So even if you don't want to write this down, it's fine. But just make sure you are not going the opposite direction. Now, to be clear, up top, you can do that. You're like, well, Mr. D, well, notice we made a heart here. Okay? We made a heart. That means we love this. We love to do it this way, okay? Whenever you have 7 divided by the negative 4, that's okay, and 9x divided by the negative 4. It's okay if you're making the heart, because 9's in the numerator. Not okay for your heart to be upside down. So we made the heart upside down. You don't want to be upside down, okay? Might be a little too much going on there. Just be careful. No upside down hearts. Okay? Don't do those. We can certainly explore this later tomorrow in class if you have additional questions. Okay? Just bring those up. So, upside down hearts, not okay. leave this as your solution. Then you can find the value. Again, afterwards, y equals 6 over 2 plus x. 6 over 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. And y equals negative 1. Boom, boom, boom. Easy peasy. Solve the equation for b. Oh, these are practice problems. All right, that means it's all for you. And coming up tomorrow or so, we'll be using these strategies in 1.5. But again, look over those examples. One is very similar to our first one, B, and so forth. And pretty quick, those ones only 20 minutes, but be sure to be rewriting everything first and go back through. And how about you rearrange or answer the essential question? All right. Good stuff. 1.4. Nice job. See you tomorrow.